Welcome back, my friends. It is December 11th, 2018, 10:24 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, what you are looking at here before I get into the topic of this video for the most part, which is the uprise in tornadoes in Florida and the expectation of a very, very busy tornado season in Florida due to our El Nino situation that is currently going on. Check out some of these wind reports that we saw today. 76 miles per hour in East Glacier Park, Montana. Livingston, 76 miles per hour. Guys, these are Category 1 force winds. This is above tropical storm force. You can see here tropical storm force winds are 39 miles per hour to 73 miles per hour. And then when you look at this and see 76, that is equivalent to a Category 1 hurricane. Now, of course, this doesn't do the type of damage a hurricane would. These are mostly gusts. They come and go quickly, but to see numbers like this is very unique. And this is because of a system that we are watching that is actually coming down from Canada over a mountain range that's right by these areas near Livingston. So I pulled up an area here, actually Livingston itself in Montana. And when you look on Google Earth, you can kind of see the mountain range comes down from the north. Basically starts in Canada, comes down this way, and all these readings for the high wind was right around this area, so they all came down here. So what I'm assuming is just like the Santa Ana winds kind of act in California, they come down from the ground and they hit the mountains and then they swoop down into the valleys. And that's pretty much the same situation going on in Montana right now, which is also under winter weather advisories as the system up here. I'll bring it back to this so we can actually see it. This is a system moving down partially from the Pacific and partially down from Canada where it's much colder. So it's a mix of rain and snow moving down from the west. And this is going to be that system that we spoke about that's going to make its way down and possibly bring snow into Texas and then make its way up to the northeast. But more than likely a rain event as opposed to a snow event, at least for this one. So once again, guys, you see it here. East Glacier Park, Livingston, Broward hit 70, Bynum hit 70, and then Great Falls hit 55 as you start moving more and more south in the Montana area. So some of these winds could still continue to move west into basically states to the west of Montana. But these numbers, crazy, courtesy of Weather Nation. So this was on Twitter. For those of you that want to go thank them for this tweet, I'm sure they would not mind that, as they also provided us this graphic we posted the other day about those two tornadoes that touched down in Tampa, specifically near Trinity, Florida. So good work, Weather Nation, as they always do. Now, as a look at our county-by-county chart, guys, again, look up in this area. We've got Idaho and Montana. Again, this is the reason for those high winds that we just talked about. This system is moving quickly down from Canada, so it's mixing with that cold air and also the moisture coming in from the Pacific. And basically, that's what's causing that straight downflow of wind and then down the mountains and then causing those high wind rates that were basically Category 1 strength, which is just, it's unbelievable some of the stuff we're seeing in the weather lately. But this all ties together to Florida because this is the system that is eventually going to move down. It's going to bring snow, apparently, to northern Texas. Then as it dips down because of the El Nino situation and the low jet stream, it's going to bring this all the way across the Panhandle and then central Florida. And you're going to see on Tropical Tidbits how we have that severe weather strip that comes right across the middle of Florida here. And that's what's causing these tornado warnings and the idea behind the fact that they think it's going to be a very high peak season for tornadoes, especially in Florida because of the El Nino, which means that that jet stream is going to be coming down pretty far throughout the winter and spring months. So that's how they can kind of tell beforehand whether it's going to be a bigger season or a smaller season as far as tornadoes go. So let's check this out on Tropical Tidbits, and then we will look at one other chart, and then I will let you guys go. So here we are, tropical tidbits. You can see the system moving in down from the upper west, Canada, Pacific Ocean mixing together. That's why you got the mix of rain with the warmer weather, and then the blue represents the snow. And because of the movement and the speed of this storm, high pressure behind it, pushing it down, that could be the cause of some of these high winds we're getting. But you see the low pressure here. Now watch the high pressure and the low pressure as it swings down over Texas. Right about there, you can see you're going to get a little bit of these snow squalls in Texas with the low pressure in front of it, which is pushing warm, moist air that comes from the Gulf. So you got to understand that we have a force from the jet stream coming down this way. Then we have an upflow always from the Gulf coming this way. And when you get those crosswinds at the right spots, that's when you need to worry about the tornadoes. And that's what happens during tornado season, especially along the Ohio River Valley. Now, because, once again, of the El Nino situation, a lot of these dips are going to occur more to the east of the country and come a little further this way, putting Florida at a higher risk of tornadoes. And like I said, about 52 a year on average. They're ranked number 10 in the United States as far as tornadoes per year. That's the average. So they're expecting more than that for this year because of those reasons. But again, let's keep moving through this real quick. Right about there is what I want to say is things are going to get pretty interesting. As you can see, the upflow from the Gulf here is starting to cause some severe weather in the Mississippi, Alabama area. And then we start seeing these spotty areas in the Gulf that are going to move their way across central Florida, almost in a diagonal direction, with the low pressure now centralized over eastern Texas. That's after the back end of snow. So you can see there's cold air with a high pressure system pushing the low pressure system down and then out. So we'll finish this up here. And then by, I want to say, let's say the 14th going into the 15th is going to be crunch time for Florida, at least with this system. These are the areas you're going to want to watch. It's going to be southwest Florida through Okeechobee, just over Lake Okeechobee, and then up towards the upper east side of Florida, it looks to be, and then even possibly into the Carolinas. I don't expect to see weather as far as tornadoes in that area, but when it comes to Florida, yes, because it's so close to those crosswinds. Like I said, the upflow from the Gulf and then the downstream flow from the jet stream are going to be meeting right around this area as opposed to this area where we usually see our tornadoes come up the Ohio River Valley. It's basically being shifted to the east more and putting Florida at a higher risk. And this is going to be a repeating situation when we're dealing with an El Nino because it really doesn't move. It kind of just sits there and it keeps that same wobble going on with the jet stream, which is going to keep it low and dipped over the Florida and these southeastern states here. So it's going to be interesting to keep an eye on this over the next couple months as we move into spring. Hopefully sooner than later because I'm already tired of winter. So, all right, so we'll finish out this chart and then we're going to look at one other. Okay, so I backed ourselves up here so we can watch the system in real time, basically beginning in the upper west states, as I said. This is what's causing those high wind rates in Montana, the hurricane force gusts that we see. Unreal. Crazy, crazy stuff. So as we move into the 13th, once again, you see the high pressure behind the low pressure, pushing it down in this direction. And then also on the 13th, we're expected to see some severe weather in Texas. That moves down to South Texas, just off the coast of the Gulf as well. But then in North Texas, we have snow squalls. So we have a little bit of everything here going on in Texas, all centralized around this low pressure system. Now, as we move into the 14th and 15th, that's when things are going to get interesting for Florida because look at this. We got that swirl going on, counterclockwise swirl, high pressure buildup behind it, and that's pushing the moisture now into the flow of the Gulf, which is flowing upwards. Then the pressure pushing behind it, that's what's going to cause that little spin up in Florida and the possible second round of tornadoes that we're going to see in about a 7-day period. You could see the severe weather already extending through the panhandle by the 14th, and then rain moving up the Ohio River Valley. And then as you watch towards the end of this, this system is expected to move up, keeping some severe weather basically all the way from Georgia through South Carolina, North Carolina, and even Virginia may see some of this heavy moisture and wind and rain in the coming days by the 15th, it looks to be as of right now. Now, these things do change, guys. Remember, every 8 or so hours they update these charts, so this may not be exact, but the severe strip that we showed over Florida, that is certainly something to keep an eye on, being that they're already talking about the El Nino bringing in uptick in tornadoes, especially to the Florida area. So that is something for people in Florida to really, really focus on. I know it's just after hurricane season and you feel like you get some relief, but now with the El Nino situation, not so much. So as you can see, once we do pass this system over Florida, it extends up the East Coast. The low pressure kind of dissipates right over this area and then moves out into the Atlantic. And again, this system isn't expected to bring much snow to the upper Northeast. That's because the cold patch we have right now will have already moved out by that time. But if we want to take a look into the future, we could see the next one right about there. 17th to the 18th, we may see some snow in the Northeast. Again, a little too far out to make any predictions as far as accumulations or anything of that nature. But again, if you guys want to see it, you can see that this is definitely a strong low pressure system, because the second it gets out into the ocean, it wants to spin up almost like a tropical cyclone, it looks like in that picture right there. And then as we move forward, we can see the next round. A lot of these are starting to come from Canada. Again, that is due to the El Nino effect on our jet stream. You're going to see this a lot, guys. This is why not only Florida, but the Northeast and these nor'easters are going to be a hot topic moving in through the winter into spring. Just like last year, just like last March, where we had 4 nor'easters in 1 month. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying things are lining up very, very similar. Now, again, they're not expecting, or they haven't expected a tornado season in Florida like this since 2007, which was a very, very active and unfortunate, deadly season for that state. So, when they start doing stuff like that, you just kind of want to pay a little more attention. It's no need to panic or anything like that. Just keep your eyes on the weather. Make sure that you know when storm systems are coming your way, that they may be a little stronger than usual because of the jet stream. And that's what this channel is here for, guys. That's why I make these videos, is to explain these things to you in more simple terms so the average person can understand. I mean, it took me years to understand a lot of this stuff. So if I could just get a couple people to figure this out and then to warn others, that's the whole point of what we do here. So now I'm moving in towards Christmas and stuff like that. You can get a general idea of what to expect. But once you hit the 25th, check this out. We got West Virginia covered in ice and snow. We got most of South and the east part of Pennsylvania covered in snow. Again, way too far out to really make any predictions on this part of the month, but we will get there eventually. So, like I said, main topics here were the high wind rates going on in Montana and in Idaho, the winter storm warnings that they are currently going through now, and then watching this system dip down, bringing snow to Texas, then severe weather to Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and then tornado threats through Florida, and then that's going to centralize over the Carolinas as it goes out to the Atlantic Ocean, and then bring in some rain, hopefully just rain to the Northeast. Then the next system, that may be a different story, but we will talk about that when we get there. So last but not least, guys, let's just check out our local Doppler, as in up to date. We're going to start back a few hours and we could just see where the moisture is moving as of right now. So you can see there's a ton of moisture moving in from the Pacific down by California and Mexico, and then here's that system that is bringing the high wind rates and the snow to Idaho and Montana currently, and then down into Colorado. So I'll move this forward for you guys so you can get an idea of the movement. You can see the upflow from the Gulf is always kind of coming up in this direction, and then when you get a downflow with the jet stream, it causes a crosswind, and that's typically where we get our tornadoes. So this won't show you the weather getting to Florida because the frame here, the last frame, is what current time is. So right now, this is what we're dealing with. So you can see the cold patch of air over the northeast is going to move out before the moisture gets there. So that's why they're expecting it to be more of a rain event in the northeast later in the week as opposed to a snow event. But you could see the moisture and some of the severe buildup down here in the Gulf that's going to aid in Florida being in that target area for the uptick in tornadoes. So, all right, guys, with that said, I'm going to let you go. Sorry this one was a little drawn out. Had to get a lot of info out there. Tomorrow, another day, I will be back. We will talk more about this and whatever else is going on in the world. I do have some more earthquake info for you guys. I have a new app that I'm using that gives a lot of cool details. It breaks things down for us so we can see the most significant earthquake of the year, the most significant earthquakes of the week, how many per year, how many per week, so on and so forth. Very cool stuff. So that will be talked about tomorrow. But again, guys, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate each and every one of you, and we hope you have a great night, rest of your evening, and a great early morning. And we will talk to you very soon. Have a great night. Bye-bye.